Have you ever wondered how a gland smaller than a walnut can quietly influence almost every cell in your body, shaping your energy, your temperature, your heartbeat, your digestion, and even the way your brain develops, learns, and thinks throughout life? Right here in your neck, wrapped around the windpipe like a soft butterfly, there is a structure that weighs less than 30 grams. And yet, despite its small size, it behaves like one of the most powerful regulatory systems in human biology. When it slows down, everything in the body slows down with it. When it accelerates, nearly every system speeds up in response. Few organs have such a broad and coordinated influence over so many different physiological processes at once. This is the thyroid gland. At first glance, it appears simple, almost insignificant. But biologically, it is a highly specialized endocrine engine, constantly producing and releasing chemical signals that determine the metabolic pace of the entire organism. The story of the thyroid begins very early in human development. During embryogenesis, it originates near the base of the tongue and then migrates downward through the developing neck to reach its final position in front of the trachea. This long migration is precisely guided by genetic and molecular signals. If this journey is disrupted or incomplete, the consequences can be severe and lifelong, affecting hormone production, growth, and neurological development from the very beginning of life. Even before birth, the thyroid is already influencing critical processes such as brain maturation, tissue differentiation, and energy regulation. Structurally, the thyroid is organized into thousands of microscopic spherical units called follicles. Each follicle functions as an independent biochemical factory. It is lined by specialized epithelial cells known as follicular cells and filled with a protein-rich substance called colloid. Far from being passive storage, this colloid is the active site where thyroid hormones are synthesized in a tightly controlled sequence of biochemical reactions. Inside this system, the central molecules are thyroxin, known as T4, and triiodothyronine, known as T3. These names refer to the number of iodine atoms bound to each molecule, 4 in T4 and 3 in T3. Although the thyroid produces far more T4, it is T3 that exerts the strongest biological effects inside target tissues. And here, a single element becomes absolutely essential for life as we know it: iodine. Unlike many other biological components, iodine cannot be produced by the human body. It must be obtained entirely from external sources, primarily through diet, drinking water, and certain natural foods. Without sufficient iodine, the entire system of thyroid hormone production collapses. This is why iodine deficiency has historically been one of the leading preventable causes of developmental disorders, particularly affecting growth and cognitive function in children. Inside the thyroid follicles, iodine is actively transported from the bloodstream into the follicular cells. There, it is incorporated into a large protein called thyroglobulin. Through a highly regulated enzymatic process involving oxidation, coupling, and structural rearrangement, iodine atoms are attached to tyrosine residues within thyroglobulin, eventually forming precursor molecules that give rise to T3 and T4. Once synthesized, these hormones are stored within the colloid, ready to be released when the body demands them. But the thyroid gland does not operate in isolation. It is part of a hierarchical control network known as the hypothalamus-pituitary-thyroid axis. At the top of this regulatory system, the hypothalamus continuously monitors internal conditions such as temperature, energy availability, stress levels, and metabolic demand. When adjustments are needed, it secretes thyrotropin-releasing hormone, which travels a short distance to the pituitary gland. The pituitary, a small but highly influential endocrine structure located at the base of the brain, responds by releasing thyroid-stimulating hormone, or TSH. TSH enters the bloodstream and acts directly on the thyroid gland, instructing it to synthesize and release T3 and T4 into circulation. This creates a tightly regulated feedback loop. When circulating thyroid hormone levels rise above optimal range, the pituitary reduces TSH secretion. When hormone levels fall, TSH secretion increases. This continuous feedback mechanism ensures that metabolism remains within a narrow and stable physiological range despite changing internal and external conditions. Once released, T3 and T4 bind to transport proteins in the blood, which carry them throughout the body to virtually every tissue and organ system. But their true biological impact begins when they enter individual cells. Unlike many hormones that act only at the cell surface, thyroid hormones cross the cell membrane and enter the nucleus. There, they bind to specific nuclear receptors that directly regulate gene expression. This means that thyroid hormones do not simply trigger short-term metabolic changes. They fundamentally alter how cells behave, what proteins they produce, and how much energy they consume over time. In muscle tissue, they regulate oxygen consumption and energy expenditure. In the liver, they influence glucose production, cholesterol metabolism, and lipid turnover. In adipose tissue, they modulate fat storage and fat breakdown. In the heart, they regulate heart rate, contractility, and cardiac output. Across nearly every organ system, thyroid hormones set the baseline speed at which biological processes occur. In this sense, they function less like a single signal and more like a global metabolic regulator, determining the overall tempo of the body. When this system becomes imbalanced, the effects are widespread and deeply systemic. In hypothyroidism, thyroid hormone production is insufficient. The entire body shifts into a slower metabolic state. Fatigue becomes persistent and difficult to overcome. Body temperature drops, leading to cold intolerance. Weight gain may occur despite unchanged habits. Skin and hair can become dry and brittle. Cognitive processes may feel slower, with reduced concentration and memory performance. The heart rate often decreases, reflecting the overall reduction in metabolic activity. One of the most common underlying causes of this condition is Hashimoto's thyroiditis, an autoimmune disorder in which the immune system gradually attacks thyroid tissue, leading to chronic inflammation and progressive loss of hormone-producing capacity. In hyperthyroidism, the opposite state develops. Excess thyroid hormone drives the body into an accelerated metabolic condition. The heart beats faster and more forcefully. Body temperature rises, often causing heat intolerance and excessive sweating. Energy consumption increases significantly, which can lead to weight loss despite normal or increased appetite. Individuals may experience anxiety, tremors, irritability, and sleep disturbances. In severe cases, the entire physiological system becomes overstimulated, as if the body's internal accelerator is continuously pressed without restraint. However, the importance of the thyroid is not limited to adult physiology. During early development, thyroid hormones play a crucial role in shaping the nervous system itself. They influence neuronal proliferation, migration, synapse formation, and myelination. Without adequate thyroid hormone levels during critical developmental windows, brain maturation can be significantly altered, leading to long-term cognitive and neurological consequences. In recent years, scientific research has expanded our understanding of thyroid function beyond classical endocrinology. The gut microbiome, for example, is now recognized as a potential modulator of thyroid hormone metabolism. Certain intestinal bacteria appear to influence the conversion of T4 into the more active T3 form, suggesting that digestive health and endocrine regulation may be more interconnected than previously thought. At the same time, environmental exposure to endocrine-disrupting chemicals is being intensively studied for its potential impact on thyroid function. Compounds found in plastics, pesticides, and industrial pollutants may interfere with hormone synthesis, receptor binding, or iodine uptake, subtly altering metabolic regulation over long periods of exposure. Despite weighing less than a small piece of fruit, the thyroid gland exerts control over some of the most fundamental processes in human biology. It is a silent regulator, a biochemical engine, a master metabolic switchboard, and every second of your existence, without interruption, it works in the background, fine-tuning energy production, shaping developmental processes, and maintaining the delicate balance that keeps your entire body functioning as a coordinated living system.